Okay, hello. This is for my dear friend. He's having some trouble with a sudden onset of a flu and a lot of pain in his body, mostly his legs. And I'm just going to do a quick reading and see what we might be able to come up with there that could give him some guidance to get out of that and to see what the pattern is that has been activated that's creating that. So his mother, feminine energy, the feminine side of himself, it needs to be integrated. Okay. And okay, and the disappointment. So the disappointment of the mother energy, or the mother part of him that's projecting that outward. So when he wants to heal that, we can't really heal it from the outside in. We have to heal it from the inside out. So we have to integrate our feminine energy to heal that. So let's see what that would look like. Felt like this, and well, actually, this goes up here. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So something he knows is that he's dealing with a happiness issue. So he actually has an addiction to feeling happy, but happiness in itself, it's not coming from a place of true joy in the heart. So we tend to, when we want to fulfill that, that feeling of happy, we usually look for others to fulfill it, or we try to get into a state using, anything from antidepressants to alcohol to drugs, whatever, to get that feeling of happiness, that relief that we're not happy. So, and then the Knight of Cups, this is something he senses, this part of himself that's very emotional in the male form. So that represents him as a person, his psyche, him trying to sort of, I don't know, I would say, save himself emotionally, or access. He senses, he knows he's a more emotional person, you could say. Let's see how the pattern started. The Prince of Swords. So this popped out upside down. When you see any of the Prince cards in the Thoth deck, which is the Crowley Tarot, that was made by Lady Frida Harris back in the 1930s. It's very esoteric. And Crowley describes the princess the princes as all being where the sixes are in the deck. So it's right smack dab in the center of the Kabbalah, and it represents that male impressionistic and your holy guardian angel, and how that would reflect with you. So because this is upside down, see how he's lashing out all over the place. So the prince has a sort of overactive mind, and my friend actually also has an overactive mind, and he knows that. And then we try to use drugs maybe to compensate, to shut that off, because it can be kind of annoying, right? So see how as he's slaying, so his mind is going everywhere. And what it does is it sort of castrates those inner parts of him that are then, you could see, not actively helping him move forward. So he's doesn't have that active help moving forward because he's all over the place. Okay, and then so that's kind of where the pattern is. And it's not a very thankful kind, you know, that prince is not like, you know, it's not like the Knight of Cups. Okay, so this is how it continues with the Knight of Swords. So first you have the Prince of Swords and then the Knight of Swords. So the Knight is in a higher place. See how he's floating above the clouds? And he's actually got, he doesn't have wings. He had, where this guy's got wings, he's got these powerful kind of helicopter, you know, you could say he's more connected to technology, and he's flying above and seeing the big picture below. So he has a higher, better view. He's not erratic like this guy. And so that's, you know, that's him in his more powerful place, but this is the one that's has to be kind of incorporated using the feminine. And let's see what that's going to look like here. Okay, so this is how others or himself perceives it, as well as this card here. So while he feels like he's in sort of a pure place, showing valor with his, you know, his will of action, that he's appearing to others sort of as defeated. So on an internal level, he would like to believe that he looks sort of courageous, you could say, and in victory. And that's what's not quite working there. And then this is what he's most afraid of. Let's see. This is where it all leads. Okay, so this is the last deck in the major arcana. So it's a path at the very bottom of the Kabbalah that is like when you've manifested and you accept your manifestation and you say, okay, now I have to go into something else. This, see how she's dancing with the serpent? So she's dancing with the good and the dark. And then this card, what he fears most and also desires most, is the Prince of Discs. So it's essential, another Prince card, interesting. And we've got two Knights. So lots of powerful cards, as well as this Empress, which is really, when you look at the Kabbalah and you go all the way up to the top, the Empress is going over to meet the masculine. So it's like heading over, like it's going to so the Empress experiences life. It's the experiencer. The masculine, so this prince here is very sensual. See how he's naked and he's exposed, and he's not very, he doesn't talk very much. He's more like a quiet, you know, guy that can quietly harvest and make a lot of wealth for himself and rise up to a higher place without using his mind a lot. And so he's not comfortable in that space unless he uses maybe drugs or, you know, alcohol, things like that. So this is going to be kind of a clue of what he needs to be okay with. And he needs to feel whatever pain that is, that he's covering that pain up with alcohol or other substances, antidepressants or anything like that. And instead getting into that space in the off time instead of using his mind so much, because it's just overactive. And then this card is really like also saying, okay, you can't change what's manifested. You have manifested something that feels really like defeat and appears to be, you're in a defeated moment. And the beauty of this card is it's like saying, okay, you did it. It's done. It's over. All you can do is accept it. And it's almost like saying, sit with it, even get turned on by it, the power of this bad manifestation that you don't want, you didn't consciously want that manifestation. And then to thank yourself for it, because thanking yourself for it will put you in a place that gives you release of that. It's like being satisfied, and then you can move on to other manifestations and other creative abilities. But that current manifestation is just like, no matter how much you don't like it and you didn't want it, and you want to say, you want to go, why me? And you want to fight it. The right thing to do is to say, I accept this manifestation fully. I dance with it even. Even if you can't literally dance, you are in a position where it's been handed to you because of this other pattern that's been going on. And so getting into that space of, that's the only choice you really have, because if you keep fighting it, it's just going to get worse and deeper. It'll go deeper into the psyche. Like in Chinese medicine, they have, the knowledge that sometimes we appear like we healed and it went deeper. And then when it's like, it goes deeper, festers a while, and then it shows up and you're like, what the fuck now? It's not a, something goes away for a while and we feel like it's gone, but it went deeper because that pattern's still there. At some point it becomes, cancer if it's more resentment based. So it depends on what type of, physical modality we're dealing with as to what, you can always boil it down to two different things. Am I harming myself or others? If others are harming me, it's because I'm letting them harm me. And so then you have to go into that kinky manifestation of, I did it. I let others harm me, or I'm putting myself in a position to be overly, I'm misusing my energy. It feels like victory. I'm misusing my energy, and I'm either harming others or harming myself. And I would guess in this way, he's probably more likely to be harming himself, letting himself be in positions that are less than alignment with love. And then that comes out as a manifestation. And then, whether it's, in your body, getting fired from a job, breakups, whatever, the manifestation is always something unwanted. And then you've got to make this, this sort of sensual love with it. It's like making love to the serpent. You don't really have a choice. It's already embodying you. And that will allow you to break free of it. So I'm just going to take a snapshot or whatever, screenshot of these cards if you need them to remember. And then a couple of guidance cards just to move on with. Whoop. Saw that little magic card pop up. I love that. All right, so so she's erratic too. Now, we already had the Prince of Swords. He was upside down. So this is the Princess. So she's also dealing with the same anger, the same erratic behavior. There's a big stormy cloud around her, and she's just lashing out with her mind, right? So now the worst thing you can do is the actual feminine wants to be held, and it wants to be loved, and it wants to be cared for. It wants to be protected, safe. The masculine part of you, that Knight of Cups, wants to do that for her. So it's like this. If you have two parts of your mind, there's the one that tells you what to do. It says, hey, Lulu, go make me a cup of coffee. And then this feminine part of me is experiencing that. So that now there's this part of me that goes and does it. I make the cup of coffee. But if the feminine part of me isn't being allowed to enjoy it and experience the process of making that cup of coffee, she is being controlled, and there's a tyrant, right? So she doesn't get she doesn't get to be who she is. She doesn't get to experience. Now, if that tyrant is a boss at work, or that tyrant is your roommates or your partner, if you're gay and you've got a male that's like constantly getting you to do things that you don't want to do, then whether it's you doing that to yourself or you doing that, allowing others to do that to you, how does the true feminine, that Empress card, that first card, that is the true feminine, she's experiencing and birthing desires because of everything that's happening to her. So you have a part of yourself that's doing this. This is not a true person, you could say, in a sense. Like the princess is the manifestation of what happens. So she's happening because of that mental place. So she's not, this is not what you want to be. So that's the very last card in the deck that conjoins with, so this is the path out. So all the princesses are on the very, very bottom of the Kabbalah. There's the Pillar of Mercy, the Pillar of Severity, and that princess card is down at the very bottom. It's the manifestation of what you're experiencing. It's like that mental state, erratic. The swords are always mental. They're also, technology, anything that's, cold and hard, you could say, right? So this is the path out. It's a good card for the path out. You're lucky that it isn't one of those other cards like the Moon. That would go to the Pillar of Mercy, and that would be a shitty path out. This is the pure path out. So another guiding card here is that if you do the work, you'll be rewarded. So discs, and this is a manifestation card that's pure, and it's way up at the top. It's a 3, so it's right before the 2, which is, almost like love. So when you get you do the work, you are rewarded. Right now, you've done the backwards work. You could say the work was not in alignment with love, and so it's coming. It's like from from the kinky goddess perspective, all manifestations are a form of love because they exist, and that's what you have to line up with here. But they're not really in alignment with divine love, so they're in a darker place. If you do the work, you'll be rewarded, and that work for you is going to look like letting go of, so the Tower is a major value shift. So there's some kind of value that you need to let go of, whether it's you know, an immoral value, or like there's something that you're hanging on to that's a belief that needs to be let go of. It's like a value shift. So you have a desire in your soul that is causing these other problems for you. And so if you can let that crumble, and it's in here, it doesn't crumble, it goes up in flames, right? I mean, that is a crazy card, this like gnashing of teeth. It's a big event that for you, it may be an inner event, but it could also be an external event. When I was going through a big shift in my life, I kept getting this card for like 3 months, and I was like, what the hell, you know? And then all of a sudden, you know, I lost my business, my marriage ended, my you know, my whole life changed. I short sailed my house and took off traveling for 10 years. There was this big shift in values that I was hanging on to, a part of me that didn't want that life I was living anymore. But I was in my mind thinking, well, I have no right to complain. I should be thankful. Like I should be, you know, all those I should be's. And yet it wasn't serving me in a way that would advance me into my future, or allow the soul, the desires in my soul to be experienced. It was cutting all of those desires off short. So allowing the process of that, whatever it is, you know, sometimes it means moving away, or making a change in lifestyle, quitting a job, or being okay with any of those things if they happen to you because you wanted them on some deeper level. And then accepting the grieving. And this is a 3 of Swords. And so that work, it kind of goes with the Works card, which is the 3 of Discs. This is a pure melancholy sort of grief that we need to experience. And it's like when you mentally accept your reality on something that's happening. So the reality that, see how this sword, so that's a mental state. It's piercing the lotus flower. And it's like accepting some failure that's happened, or accepting that somebody will never change and it's not your job to change them, or accepting that you've been harmed by somebody, that they've harmed you, that they never loved you and pretended they did, or whatever it is. There's grieving that will help clear it, and then you'll see the light of day. Okay, pretty big reading there. Don't worry. If you follow, you know, that path, things will work out. And, you know, everything always does. Everything always does. You have support from the universe for anything, and stay away from the obsessions. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.